Ever since I was a kid, video games have been the biggest passion in my life. Now I am 44. I quit the corporate job and making the game of my dreams. Hi, I am Aman. I was born and still live in Almaty, that's located in the south of Kazakhstan. Aside from winter smog and traffic jams, generally it's pretty comfortable city. But of course it's not for everyone. In Almaty, first foreign games started to appear in the early 90s, after the collapse of Soviet Union. At first it was Dandy Games, Dandy was popular NES clone in post-Soviet countries, then came Sega and PlayStation. Since then, I've been completely in love with games, just like many kids of that era. And yes, we also had PC games. When I first tried Dungeon Keeper and got hooked on it, it was pure excitement. I played through the game 3 times in a row, and it was an amazing experience. This game is a pure gem and a masterpiece. Peter Molyneux and team, you are awesome. So I started thinking about game development around 2010, back when the Flash platform and ActionScript were still alive. By that time I was already working as a PHP backend developer in e-commerce, so I already knew something about programming. After learning ActionScript and Flash, I got a job at a company that produced short educational animated films for schools under government contracts. There I made simple interactive games like Baige and Togus Kumalak. Both are ancient traditional Kazakh games. The project lasted about a year. After that, the commissioned games came to an end, and I had to return to the PHP development that I didn't enjoy. In 2021, I was introduced to Unreal Engine for the first time. Around that time, I had just quit my corporate job and was living off my savings. I chose Unreal mainly for its interface and especially for blueprints, where in about 6 months I built a small fantasy-style Arkanoid game entirely using blueprints. The game is available for free on itch.io. Anyone who wants can try it. At one point I even decided to submit the game to Epic Mega Grants, but received a polite rejection, and I was sincerely convinced that my game was surely going to get the grant. Optimism bias is a cognitive distortion common to most solo indie developers like me. By that point, my savings were running out, and I had to get a job again. So it turns into a cycle. I get a job, save up some money, quit, and work on a game. At some point, the money runs out, and the cycle repeats. And after working as PHP developer until January 2025 and saving up some money, I decided to finally work on my dream game, a 3D action platformer. I prototyped the game for about 3 months using C++ together with blueprints. However, working with C++ turned out to be far from comfortable, despite the newest standards and the help of LLMs. At some point, I decided to stop pushing myself and switch to a new engine with a more developer-friendly programming language. I looked into Unity and Godot and decided to choose Unity based on its popularity, and C# is an almost ideal language for development. So, about a month ago, I started prototyping on a new engine, and so far I've built a basic controller for a robot character, including simple movement, jumping, one attack, and shooting. But ideally, I'd like to implement a melee combo system. For the enemy, I used a free monster chest asset. I implemented 2 types of behavior for it, patrolling and chasing, as well as 2 sensors, a vision sensor and a proximity sensor. Both the behaviors and the sensors are universal and can be assigned to any enemy. For AI, I am using Unity's native solution, AI Navigation 2.0. I also plan to add attack and flee logic for the enemy when its health falls below a certain level. After that, I want to implement a universal damage, health, and hit impact system. And since I'm currently not working and trying to keep costs to a minimum, I'm using only free assets and implementing all the necessary functionality myself. Aside from game development, there are everyday and personal matters that also take up some time, but they still need to be done. And from time to time, it's also necessary to get out of the city and go to the Medeo Mountains to reduce the negative effects of polluted winter air. Okay, that's it for now. I'll keep working. Thanks for watching and stay healthy.